when it comes to making a model, there are lots of gadgets that can help. But which ones do we really need? And are there some that we can do without? Hi, welcome back to St Blazey Model World. Now, there are all sorts of storage systems that you can buy for storing your model making equipment in, and some of them are extremely expensive. Some of the best that I've found are these plastic drawer units. They're available from places like B&Q, The Range, etc. And I pay, or did pay for these, £10 each. That's £10 per stack of 3 drawers. But the reason why I like them is that you can stack these units so that they occupy a minimum amount of space, and also you can get a lot of useful stuff in them. So we'll just very quickly run through just to show you some examples. I tend to keep paints and glues in one drawer. This one is just a bit of everything really, some odd bits of wire and tools and stuff. This one has a whole load of paper in it, which is cardboard, which is bits of kit, Metcalf cardboard kits and spare blank cardboard sheets. What have we got in here? More junk. Well, I say junk, to me it's priceless. Bits and pieces. I can't remember what was in the rest of this drawer now, because I had them all full up at one stage, but there we go. This one I've just got bits of scatter and mod rock sheeting, and then in the top one at the moment not very much, but again it's normally full. I normally keep my airbrushes in one of these as well. I've got some more of them, and I mention that because I bought 4, giving me 12 drawers, beg your pardon, forget my maths, 4 3s are 12. That gave me 12 drawers. When I returned home, my better half, who is a great crafter, said, oh, I like those, and so 2 of them were immediately stolen. But there we are, £10 each for those. You can buy similar drawer units all over the place, but the reason why I like these was the depth of the drawers themselves. Often you get the very deep drawers and you tend to pile up lots of stuff in them and you can't find them. But my gadget, well, probably one of the things that I could least afford to do without, and you wouldn't think it. It's a very simple thing, some storage, but there we are. That's my choice, my pick. Now, something else you really could do with if you're doing a lot of model making is some form of rotary cutter. And I suppose the leading market player is Dremel. We're all familiar with that brand, and I did have one of those, but it failed. And for Christmas I was bought this set, and this is another product from Amtech, and it's available again from The Range. I don't think B&Q sell it because they do specialise in the Dremel range, but you can find these on the internet and all over the place. And what I got, of course, was the main tool, the rotary cutter itself, and that's a very good bit of kit. Variable speed, and you can buy an attachment that fits into the chuck with a much smaller handheld power unit that drives off of the main device. You can use that for very, very fine work. But in this sort of gift set, as it were, you get quite a range of cutters, grinders. There are some deburring bits in there, various stones, and then these 4 plastic tubs have in them extra wheels for cutting various bits and pieces and grinding. And particularly if you're into model railways and you want to cut track and cut it squarely, then a rotary cutter like this is a very good way of achieving a good result. And I've seen these rotary cutters used on a number of the leading model railway channels, and it does work, and I use it myself. So a very good bit of kit. Price, I think it was a shade under £30 at the time of purchase, but you get, as I say, quite a range of stuff in there. You can buy the replacement parts, the various attachments and grinders, etc. So again, very good bit of kit. Next up we have these, and it appears to be just a box of jars, but of course they serve a purpose. The thread on the caps and the bottles, possibly purely by coincidence, matches the adapter on one of my airbrushes, and that means that I can use these jars to keep paint either in dilution, or I can keep the jars with paint in with colours that I've mixed myself by mixing two different colours together. What does that mean? Well, it just takes a bit of urgency off, because when you only have one jar, which you can manage with, and I have for a long time, when you only have one jar, of course, as soon as you've used it, there's an urgency to clean it out, and you might need that dilution of paint again for a different project, or the mix of colour for another project. So having these jars is an absolute godsend to me. There are 10 in this box. I paid, I think, £12 for them, which is why they're in this video and not the first one. You can buy them in ones or twos, or you can buy bigger quantities still. But this is the second set that I have, and to me they're absolutely invaluable. And again, I'll leave a link of which eBay trader I bought these from in the description. Now, a lot of my filming, in common with many other YouTubers, takes place on a cutting mat, and this is one example. This particular one, yet again, is an Amtech product, but you can buy these all over the place in different sizes, right down from sort of A5 right the way up to A1. I believe they do an A0 as well, which would be very large, but A2 this one is, and it's approximately 18 inches by 20 odd inches. Ideal for cutting. If you are doing any sort of cutting at all, you have to have one of these. They are really, really good. You get a good surface to work on, no damage to the furniture or worktop underneath, and they have the graduations on them as well, as you can see. So if you're a scratch builder, for example, of card models, buildings and so on, it's very good to get scale and everything else. And again, depending on the size you buy, reflects the cost, but absolutely essential in my view. Now, I promised that I would talk about a few things that, in my view, you didn't really need to spend your money on. And one example would be washes. Washes are basically diluted solutions of paint used to apply panel lines, grime and other sort of types of wear and tear and weathering and so on and so forth. And if we look at the underside of this Spitfire that I mentioned in one of my previous videos, you can see that I've used a wash to apply panel lines and some dirt and an indication of use. If I didn't use a dedicated wash, how did I do it? Well, very simple really. I have these Tamiya paints, which I love, and if you're a regular on this channel, you'll know that I sort of preach the Tamiya acrylic range all the time. And this particular one is XF1, which is a gloss black. But of course, eventually the paint gets used up. And very near the end of that using up process, I will add a thinner, either a dedicated thinner or even a water if it's an acrylic product, and dilute it. And what I have left inside here is a jar of diluted black wash. Now, because I could use up the rest of the paint and then just go and buy another jar of paint and a jar of wash, but why should you? You know, think a little bit about how you can save yourself some money. And let's face it, when we get towards the end of a tin of paint or a jar of paint, if we've got a new one ready to go, most of us will open the new jar or the new pot So that's another example of something that you really don't need to buy. So what else might you be able to do without? Well, here we have a engineer's rule. It's a standard steel ruler, 12 inches long, 30 centimetres in the modern money. And the reason why this is on here is that you can buy scale rulers that convert millimetres to feet for making models. Now, on the face of it, that's a very good idea. But in the description, I'll leave a basic guide for those modelling in N gauge, 0 gauge and 0 gauge. And you can see for yourself that it really isn't that hard to work out. And if you are a model railway enthusiast and you're at a show and anybody comes up to you and says, "Excuse me, sir, I think that house is 2 millimetres too tall or too wide," well, kindly point out to them that they need to get a life. Lastly, in this video, I need to talk about applying scatter. You can buy powered scatter spreaders, for want of a better term. I don't know what they're called, and I don't have one to show you because I just simply would never ever buy one. If you want to apply scatter, put it into a tea strainer or a small sieve, such as we have here, and apply it. It's very easy. The scatter will land on your glued area, and any excess can be hoovered up with a stick type of hoover and recycled for further use. You don't need one of these battery powered things. I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend anybody who has one or people that sell them, but to me they're absolutely laughable. What a waste of money. You're much better off putting your money into something worthwhile. So that's it for this video. I'm sorry it's been another short one. If you're wondering why my videos are fairly short, it's mainly because I live in a rural part of Cornwall and Wi-Fi is a distant dream, a very distant dream. It would be quicker to use a carrier pigeon. So that's why most of my videos tend to come in at around 10 to 15 minutes maximum, because the uploading speeds take forever. I'm sure we will revisit gadgets again on this channel. Next up, we've got a cheap World War II air-based diorama. Stay tuned. I hope you've enjoyed this video and it's given you some useful information. Please take care in the difficult times that lie ahead still. Remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on St Blazey Model World.